What is going on, everyone? Greatest Hits here. I am back yet again with another video. As you can see, I got the engine covered up because for one, I have to cut all of this out that I just bent and got all broken up. I have to cut all of this whole section here, and then straight across where my finger is at to the other side. I may just cut just the corners, but the reason why I'm doing that is because the radiator is going to be installed in this position, straight up, stand up radiator, that's what they call it. And another reason why I'm doing this is because when I put the radiator in, this was straight. It wasn't bent like it is now on both sides. And I thought it would fit just fine because I cut a good amount out anyway, especially towards the bottom. But apparently the turbo is in the way, and I didn't want to remove the turbo. The charge pipe was in the way, so I had to remove all of that. I had to remove the wires and stuff like that. I had to remove the radiator hose, which is sticking up right now, and I have it covered up. I should have left that off the engine. And I had to remove the wastegate, which is right here. So now I should have enough room to fish this in here. But the problem was it was hitting up in here and up in here. Yeah, that's the situation right now. So I'm going to start cutting this out. Y'all don't have to see me cut that. It's pretty self-explanatory. I'm just going to get it done. That way I can finally throw this radiator in. And speaking of, here is the radiator. Now, I already taken it out because I wanted to see if there was any damage or anything bent anywhere. There is a tiny spot there, right about there, that's slightly bent, but the fins still look fine. They don't look crushed or anything like that. So other than that, it's pretty well in good condition. There are some scratches and some water marks, but that's because I was just trying to get the thing in there and my hands are sweating and all that. This radiator is from On3 Performance. They give you a cap as well. I was worried about that in the beginning when I went ahead and purchased it. But look at how thick the outer part of this radiator is. I can't remember what this is called, like some kind of metal tube that holds the fluid, and then it travels through the fins to the other side. But this is like, I don't know, like 3 inches or 4 inches maybe? I don't know. Probably 3 inches thick, 3 inches maybe, 2-3 inches, because inch is about like that. But anyhow, you have this tube sticking out and making a 90-degree bend downwards because I got this pipe over here, right? I got this pipe over here that will go in like that and then come down. So that's how it's going to be installed, just like that. I'm going to show you my On3 coolant tank as well. It is also aluminum. It looks really nice. I currently don't have it. It's at the house. I left it at the house, but I'm gonna go get that. And then a few other coolant system things that you need to fully install on the F-bodies, Firebirds or Camaros. I also have this 16-inch coolant fan that they gave me. This is universal, and this is not like directional. You can have it both ways, push or puller. They told me they recommend it being towards the front of the radiator, sitting over here. And from my research and installing these on these radiators, it should be okay for you to install it in between the fins. It shouldn't leak, but yeah, we will see about that. I personally don't have any experience doing this, but I've seen other people do it and they haven't had problems, so that's what we're going to end up doing. But let me just kind of show you everything that comes with it. You got some mounting plastic clips and all of that. You got the wire to wire it together, and then instructions back here. But yeah. Alright, I got the turbo pushed to the side. By the grace of God, we might be able to get this in. My Lord. And then this harness over here is obviously in the way. I did not want to relocate that either. So I want to keep everything in its factory spot. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Baby. Uh-oh. Wait a minute. Flange, it's hitting the flange. One second. Here's the tank right here from On3. You got an inlet and an outlet here, and then of course you got this cap up here. This cap looks really nice, by the way. And I might put an On3 sticker here or something, but there it is, pretty big. And this is literally the only spot that I can put it to where I can have some easy access to pour coolant in there and it run from here through the radiator. But I've also got the ICT coolant, what is it called? The barb 1/8 MPT fitting, 1.5 inch. So this will go in between the radiator hoses. And the reason why I bought this was because of the fact that I need that crossover tube to go to like a vent or something. And this is what I picked up because it'll go in here. I'll just need to put like a 1/8 MPT in there. Alright guys, so here's the situation with this coolant tank. I drilled a bigger hole on the left side with the drill bit there. And the reason why I did that is because of this bolt here. This bolt goes to the ABS module here. And there's a bracket down there, if y'all can see. And as you can also see, the bolt is out of the threaded hole there. The reason why I did that is because I'll be mounting it here, and then the bolt will actually fit through the hole on the bracket of the tank here, so I can be able to mount it on both sides instead of just one small bolt there. Alright guys, so we're back again, continuing this install. Okay, anyways, here it is right here. I got this rubber trim piece here. It has metal inside of it and like yellow grip thingies, and you can bend it to what you want, and you can place it over on top of any like sharp edges on the body, anywhere like that. And I cut a section off and drilled a hole on each side because that's where the mounting sheet metal brackets would mount to on the radiator. So here are the nut washers and the bolts. And where's the brackets? I don't know. I think the brackets are back there, but I got these zip ties specifically to mount the fan to the radiator there. And this spring looking thing inside of here, I'm probably not going to use that. I might have to, I don't know. But from what I've seen in other videos, you don't necessarily have to. So here's these little zip tied flat plastic things, whatever you call it, and they just slide onto this zip tie. This is a unique zip tie, again, for the radiator. Speaking of the radiator, if y'all can see, this is how I have the hoses mounted from the radiator to the water pump down there. And as you can see, that tube is running up to the crossover tube down in here. And as y'all saw earlier in the video, I put the little hose adapter thing on here. So that's how I have it. I mounted it that way because if I were to take this hose and push it inward anymore, it will rub against the pulley there. So that's why I have it pushed out a little bit more, so it has enough clearance down there so it doesn't hit the water pump pulley. So I also have my coolant reservoir installed there. Let me show you guys something here. On this drill bit, Hercules drill bit, it is a 5/16, which I don't know where I put it, but it's a 5/16, and you basically drill into that bracket on the other side. See, there's a bracket there and the bracket over there, and you drill a bigger hole into it so that you can put that bolt and slide it through there, and you get to mount it in that location. And it's perfect, honestly, because I had all of that space over there, and that's the only spot that I can put it. I can't put it over there by the turbo. That's risky. And I can't put it anywhere else or underneath the car by the wheel well because the tire is going to hit it So that is pretty much it, other than, again, the fans. So right now, I am going to move this radiator either downward or move the turbo out the way, because I also this has been a process, guys. It took me a month for this radiator to get here because it was out of stock, and then it's taken me a month to get all of the hardware because I had everything else, but I didn't have the necessary hardware and stuff to finish this install. So, and I'll talk about this in a minute, but down up in there, that is a plug with Teflon tape that I put around it, and I threaded it in. It is extremely close to the turbo, and I don't even know if the blanket will be able to sit on there without this hose being completely blocked off from flow of coolant going into this radiator. But anyhow, I need to either move this turbo or move the radiator out of the way, whichever one I do. And then I have to thread that in there. I also had to find a plug as well, because I didn't have one for this radiator, and I didn't have one laying around in the storage unit. And then I had to plug the bottom one too, which is way down there. But the difference between the other one and this one is, thanks to my buddy Brad, just out the way, he found this this valve thing. I can't remember what this is called, guys, but you basically flip it upward so the fluid can come out. Now it's sitting horizontal, so it could work decently well when I'm trying to drain the fluid, but since it's sitting horizontal, it may not drain all of the fluid. But it's something that's, you know, I technically need it because there is no petcock or anything on this radiator. It's just as basic as can be. All they give you is a radiator and a radiator cap. That is it for $300, which in my opinion is ridiculous. And then you spend another $130 or something like that for the fans. So honestly, not really worth it, because if I'm paying that much just for a radiator and not have the fans, I better have all the hardware with it. I understand that this radiator will be able to cool this high horsepower LS engine down, but I mean, dang, bro. But anyways, I also got this rubber trim on the bottom as well, going all the way down the bottom side of the radiator mount here. That way this radiator is not rubbing on it. And then another thing too, here are the brackets that I was talking about earlier that I got from On3. So instead of using these for the top side because they won't reach, I'm going to use them for the bottom. And I'm going to sit it like that, something like that. And I'm going to drill a hole on the bottom, and I'm going to put that nut and bolt that I showed you guys on here. That way the radiator doesn't move around too much. So if y'all can see that right there, I mean, that could work. That could work. It's just barely touching it. But anyways, that is my plan. I'll show y'all a clip of me putting the radiator fans in and all of that, and go from there. All this is here, these rubber pads, are to protect the radiator fans and to give some space between this fan and the actual radiator itself, so it doesn't tear the radiator up through this fan. So yeah, I don't know if I showed y'all this, but this is the other bracket that goes underneath the mounting point where the factory radiator used to be. They told me to just sit this underneath there and put the bolts through there, drill a hole and tap. I think that's really stupid because it doesn't really, it's not going to do anything. Like, let me show you guys what I'm talking about. This mounting point right here. They told me I have to sit this thing right here, right? Well, the radiator is already mounted and this is not going to do anything. So I don't know if they're telling me to bend this entire sheet metal to hold the radiator in, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to cut this like about maybe that much on both sides over there. And then I'm going to bend these over and mount them onto the radiator. Alright guys, so my buddy Brad showed me a neat little trick. First off, I got the metal aluminum cut out. This is the length that I wanted it to be in, and then I took a Sharpie and lined the spot where I want it to bend so it can hold the radiator down. So I'm simply gonna sit this in here like that, flip it around, because I'm going to pull back on it with some adjustable wrenches. I don't know how y'all do it, but this is what Brad has showed me. Basically, you want to take these two wrenches, slide them in between the metal like this, towards the bottom part of the metal, and then pull back or push wherever you're at. Instead of going all the way at the top, you're going to be bending the wrong section of the metal. So simply just push back. Do that again, flip them around that way. That's something I didn't want. Now, it's not going to be perfect, but it's going to be what I need for now. Okay, I used this drill bit here, this smaller drill bit, to drill in a smaller hole just so I have like a point of, I don't know, centerness. I also got my glasses. Make sure you wear eye protection and hand protection gloves, stuff like that, so you don't gouge your eye out or ruin your hands. I'm going to step up to this, I believe this was the 5/16 drill bit. Drill tool, my Hercules. And all I'm going to do, now, both of these brackets are done. Alright. Thread these bolts through like that. And I'm going to try and put the nut underneath. There we go. And then I'm going to take this extension, deep socket, I'm going to hold it from the bottom. Now, let's move on to the, oh yeah, that's not moving at all. That's freaking awesome. That is not gonna move at all. Alright, so you got these little pad looking things with a hole. All you gotta do is stick these things through like this. And they go over this zip tie here. So we're gonna do what we can here. This is the only spot that I can put these zip ties on, because doing it the other way, I can't really get the zip tie through because of this being in the way, and I didn't want to cut this out too much because of this bracket and everything else. Also, the fan was sitting way too low past the radiator, so I had to lift it up some, and now it's a little bit better. I'll show you guys that here in a minute. As you can see, I got the fans in, or the fan in. Looking really nice. I'm gonna paint these in the future. I'm not gonna do it right now. Now I'm gonna fix this. It will still hold the radiator, but it's just a little bit loose. It is looking really good so far. Now, with this wire here, I'm gonna have to figure that out. Either I need some kind of a pigtail to connect to this, or I have to basically wire it in to the factory wiring harness, because there's a ground here and then hot here, and then over here this is like a secondary plug to kick on the other fan. So I think all you really have to do is plug it to here, because I think this is the first fan that kicks on, and then this is the second one. And then way down there somewhere, if y'all can see that pigtail wire down there, that is for the factory fan as well. It plugs into something else. It's a bigger connector, but I don't need to use that. I just need to use this pigtail right here. And then once it's plugged in, I'm going to get it wrapped up, zip tied somewhere. I might show y'all that. If not, I'm going to move on to the injectors, because I'm going to put the injectors on, put the regulator on, then get my pump. And at that point, I'm going to tow this thing myself with Goliath to my buddy Austin's shop, so we can route all of the fuel lines and everything, get everything squared away, because I don't want to do it in the storage room. That's just too much. And me being on the ground for hours trying to get that right. Other than that, I have another thing for you guys. Of course, I'm going to get the transmission back in. I'm going to get it back in from Michael, who is helping me get that fixed up and everything. But aside to all of that, and then the transmission cooler, that I'm going to have a video for you guys once I finish everything else. And the fuel and everything, once I get done with all of that, I got one more thing to put in this car, and it's going to be insane. Some of y'all are probably going to guess correctly what it's actually going to be, but it's going to be ridiculous. Okay guys, so the install is done. Y'all can see up in there. Radiator fan. I got the wires zip tied, and like I told you before, I just took both wires and tied them together, and then I put some heat wrap over it on both of those wires, ground to ground, and then blue to whatever color your factory harness is for the factory fans when it was on this car. And then I zip tied the rest of the wires there. That way you can't really see it that much when you initially look at. That way you can't see it a whole lot. It's tucked in the corner on the bottom by the radiator, and I'm obviously not going to use that anymore. I've done some research on these fans. And there's not a whole lot of research specifically for this particular fan here. There is research for the dual fans and the Griffin radiator and stuff like that, but there's not a whole lot of information on this particular fan for this particular vehicle at all. There's probably not any, so I'm probably the first to do this video. So there it is. It is not perfect, but it is honestly decent for what it is compared to some other stand-up radiator installs on these F-bodies. So I've also went to Facebook to get some advice on this, but everybody is saying get a 4-pin relay and a new sensor and all this other mess, and I think that's just ridiculous. I don't have an aftermarket ECU or wiring harness. This is all factory. I told them that already, and yeah, I'm not gonna do all that just to connect those two wires together and to make everything work. So again, all I did was connect the two wires. When I get it tuned, I can basically tell my tuner at 170 degrees or maybe 180 degrees I want this fan to kick on, and then shut off at, let's just say, 210 or 205, probably 205, because that's going to make a lot of power and produce a lot of heat. So it may run at 205 degrees, maybe 199 degrees like it did before with the Elder LS engine that I had in this car. But that is it for this video. Another thing that I forgot to mention to you guys is actually two things. One, with this tank here, I got the hose that's running from the tank. Matter of fact, let me go underneath the vehicle so I can show you better. This is how I have the hose routed from the tank all the way up here behind the turbo, right there. That's the flange of the turbo over there where my finger is at, and then it's going underneath the turbo and not touching it, and going straight to the nipple on the radiator. So it's a lot going on underneath here, but yeah, that's just part of having a turbo car. But there's the fan. It still sticks out a little bit, but not entirely too much like it was before when I initially installed it. I put zip ties around here. I plugged this one off here because there's no like return line on this tank. You can use this or the other port on the other side, but you have to get a 3/8 threaded NPT by a 1/4 inch like nipple, so you can slide this on either side of the radiator So the coolant, if the coolant is overfilled on this, it'll drain out through this and then recirculate back up into here. So I'll have to figure that out. I might use this. I mean, this is actually perfect, but the thing is that this is the thing is I want to block this off because I don't want any coolant flow coming out of this and then not getting any coolant flow to my engine. But even though I have an inlet and an outlet hose, this one and then that one, I just don't want any problems. So I plugged that one off, and then of course I plugged this one off, and I'm gonna put a hose clamp on that as well, tighten it up pretty good. As for the other radiator hose here, I had some serious issues with this because I had to find a ton of I had to buy at least 3 or 4 different hoses to see which one fits, and this one fits the best, although it sits very, very close to the exhaust. So I'm gonna have to get some heat wrap and cover this hose up so it doesn't burn into this and cause a coolant leak, because that would be bad. But it starts here. This is the, what is this, the inlet, and then that one there is the outlet. But right, comes out, yeah. But anyways, coolant comes up through here and then circles around like a snake right up in there. If y'all can see that, that's what I'm talking about there. But anyways, it goes all the way up to the water pump where the thermostat is at, and that's about it. So yeah, another thing about that hose on the bottom there that goes to the water pump, I bought that from O'Reilly's, and I just bought a factory F-body water pump hose, upper radiator hose, and all I did is cut it into pieces and put these length that I want and put the sections of it to the certain corresponding locations. So that one there, that one there, and that one there. If y'all like this one, please hit that like button and subscribe to my channel. Oh, and I need to show you guys the wheels that I bought several months ago. Some of y'all probably know what it looks like because you follow me on Instagram and all my other social medias, but that video is coming soon. I gotta get those wheels cleaned. They're about, I want to say maybe 10 pounds lighter, maybe 15, and I think they're gonna look good on the car with some Mickey Thompson drag radios and front runners. So anyways, greatest hits out.